You ever see a man the world called crazy for loving too much drop dead in front of the very kids he saved? That's how the night started. Anthony Walker, once the butt of every joke for adopting 5 black boys off the streets of Detroit, slumped over the podium, blood trailing down his chin, as those same boys scrambled to hold him up, not knowing someone had poisoned the only man who ever gave them a damn thing. The whole place froze. All those rich donors and socialites in their Sunday best, mouths open, nobody moving, just 5 boys and a dying billionaire. The whole messy story coming to a head in front of a room full of people who'd always doubted them. Yeah, that happened. But the real story didn't begin on that stage. It started months back, with a diagnosis that would turn everything upside down. Picture Alexander Reynolds, 58, white, tech billionaire, king of a Seattle empire, but alone as the day he was born. Sure, he had the mansion, the 10 acres on Lake Washington, the $9 billion in the bank, but every night it was just him, the echoes in 22 empty rooms, and memories of broken marriages and friendships he'd sacrificed on the altar of ambition. No kids, no heir, no one to call family. When the doctor told him he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer and maybe 3 months to live, he didn't cry. He just felt tired. Like bone deep, soul tired. He figured it was the end, until the night he found a skinny black teenager, maybe 17, hiding behind a pillar in his office garage, shivering with nothing but a busted backpack for a pillow. "Kid, this isn't a shelter," Alexander said, but the words came out softer than he expected. The boy Darius looked at him, ready to bolt, but there was something fierce and proud in his eyes. He wasn't stealing, just trying to keep his little brothers safe. There were 4 more boys, he explained, over late-night pancakes in a grimy diner. All of them lost in the cracks, failed by the system, holding on to each other like shipwreck survivors. By sunrise, Alexander had decided he wasn't just going to help Darius. He was going to adopt all 5 boys. That news hit Seattle like a bomb. His lawyer called him crazy. The board freaked out. His sister said he'd finally lost at first cancer. Now, this circus? The media had a field day. Terminal Billionaire's bizarre adoption plan. Hashtags exploded, half calling it a scam, the other half a PR stunt. Racists came crawling out the woodwork. But Alexander didn't care. For the first time in years, he had a reason to wake up. He started prepping rooms in the mansion, firing staff who couldn't hide their prejudice, made sure these kids had everything they needed, not as a charity case, but as a family. The boys came, eyes wide, trash bags on their shoulders, not trusting any of it. Darius, big for 17, looked out for the others like a bodyguard. Terrell, 15, a math genius with 2 arrests for stealing food because hunger doesn't care about potential. Lamont, 14, hadn't spoken since he watched his best friend get shot, but he drew everything he saw, communicating with art instead of words. Andre and Antoine, the 11-year-old twins, so smart it scared Yuri, programming the mansion's security cameras for fun. These weren't just troubled youth. There were diamonds buried under a ton of dirt nobody bothered to clear away. Right away, they met resistance. Mrs. Caldwell, the old estate manager, served them in the kitchen like servants. Alexander shut that down quick. "We eat together." Security tried searching their bags, thinking the boys were thieves. Alexander fired half the staff that first week. But trust took longer. He overheard them planning to run away. "He's dying anyway. Better bounce before they throw us out." And his heart broke a little, not for himself, but because that was all life had taught them. But slowly, the walls came down. Darius showed up the next morning. "We're still here. We'll give this a shot." That was a turning point. Alexander found Terrell scribbling calculus on the office whiteboard, stuff his own engineers couldn't solve. Lamont's sketches were so precise they looked like blueprints. The twins fixed vulnerabilities in the security system professional consultants missed. For the first time, Alexander saw these weren't just boys to save, they were prodigies who'd never had a chance. He called in experts, mentors, educators. Throughout the rulebook, traditional school? Waste of time for kids like these. Each one got their own plan. The press started to change their tune, a little, but the hate never really stopped. The board called him unstable, tried to push him out. His own sister came for his assets. The kids started getting threats, text messages, slurs, even surveillance cameras hidden in their rooms. Someone wanted them out, wanted the old order back. Then came the real twist. The DNA test showed Darius and Alexander might be distant relatives. It explained the connection they felt, but made the legal fight messy. As Alexander's health tanked, the pressure mounted. Richard, his oldest friend and CFO, led the charge to steal the company, spreading rumors about Alexander's mental state. The board called a vote to oust him. The boys? They weren't sitting quietly, they started fighting back. Terrell found evidence of massive fraud. The twins hacked into company servers to catch Richard selling secrets. Lamont sketched the conspiracy in devastating detail. In a last-ditch showdown, Alexander and the boys crashed the board meeting, laying out all the evidence: embezzlement, betrayal, backstabbing. Richard tried to play the crazy dying man card. Then Darius stood up and said, "Legacy isn't about what you leave behind in a bank account. It's about who you lift up." The room went silent. When Richard lunged at the twins, cameras caught every second. His downfall was public and immediate. But victory had a price. The stress hit Alexander's body like a truck. Hospitalized, fading fast, vultures circled to adoption, not yet finalized. The boys facing eviction. That's when Michael, a man nobody knew, walked in. He was Alexander's secret biological son, proof in hand. He brought the final nail. Richard had been poisoning Alexander, accelerating the cancer. The court rushed through the final adoption just in time for Alexander to say goodbye, surrounded by 6 sons, not just 5. Each boy promised to build on his legacy. Darius as a new kind of CEO, Terrell founding a foundation for kids like him, Lamont giving a voice to trauma, the twins launching tech to protect the vulnerable, Michael promising to hold it all together. Alexander died in peace, the pain finally gone, but the story wasn't over. 5 years later, the Reynolds brothers ran a business empire built on justice, not greed. They changed laws, changed minds, built a shelter on the very streets they'd once called home. Richard went to prison. Eleanor found redemption, and those who'd laughed at the dying billionaire and his street kids now called them visionaries. The boys adopted kids of their own, the cycle of hope rolling forward. So, let me ask you, have you ever had someone see the potential in you that no one else did? Or been that person for someone else? Drop your story in the comments. Hit like if you believe in second chances. Subscribe if you want more stories that hit where it hurts, and remember, family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when everyone else walks away. What legacy will you choose?